Welcome to the ENT Surgeons. I'm Dr. Pranshu Mehta. Well, today let's talk about mucormycosis, or most commonly these days it's known as the black fungus. Actually, it's the media which has declared it as a new disease, a new fungus, a black fungus which is prevalent these days in the COVID patients. However, it is not a new disease, it has been there for ages. Now, let's talk about the mucormycosis or the black fungi and what it is. So, out of all organisms, we know that there is a kingdom fungi. Now, in the kingdom fungi, we have a class which is called as Zygomycetes. Within that, there is an order called Mucorales. This fungus belongs to the order Mucorales of class Zygomycetes. Within this order Mucorales, there are many species which we have found that can cause mucormycosis. However, right now we'll be talking about a few like the Rhizopus and Mucor. But there are many more species which can cause mucormycosis. These fungi are actually present in the soil or decaying matter in presence of moisture. So what happens is they are present in the form of spores. They are thermotolerant, so they can tolerate high temperatures as well. So whenever we inhale them or we are exposed to their spores, they enter our nasal cavity or the oral cavity. Now from there they can reach our lungs as well. So what can happen is they can either stay in the nasal cavity, in the paranasal sinuses, or can reach our lungs. Now, what happens when they reach our sinuses or lungs is the question. So, what happens is whenever we inhale them, they are sort of trapped in the mucus and the mucus secretions of our respiratory tract. So, whenever they are adhered over there, if it is done in the nasal cavity, they are sneezed out. So, we sneeze it and they are thrown out. Or if they go inside the lungs or the respiratory tract, they are mostly coughed out, but these are removed and they do no harm. So they does not cause any harm or any disease in a normal immune person because their virulence is very less. So the trouble actually starts when the person or the patient is immunocompromised, when the state is an immunocompromised state. Now when can that happen? If a patient is suffering from diabetes mellitus or has a malignancy or is in the state of malnutrition, renal failure, has undergone organ transplantation, and because of that is on immunosuppressive drugs or otherwise, or has liver cirrhosis or is suffering from AIDS. Now what happens in cases of COVID or corona? So what happens is we have reduced total leukocyte count that reduces our immunity. Then the patient is on drugs like steroids which also reduce the immunity plus ventilator. Now how does these three things affect? Okay, we'll see. But first we'll go to the pathophysiology. How does this mucor cause disease in our body? So as I've already told you, when these spores are inhaled in the nose, they can be sneezed out or they can reach the lungs and then it can be coughed out. If they enter these cells, they are phagocytosed by the neutrophils, the polymorphonuclear cells, because they are very less virulent. Hence, they do not cause disease in normal cases, as I have already discussed. Now, what happens in cases of COVID-19? So, in cases of COVID-19, you must already be aware that the TLC or the total leukocyte count reduces. The normal value of TLC in humans is 4 to 11,000 per deciliter of blood. Wherever in cases of viral infection, this goes down between 2 to 5,000 per deciliter of blood. It can further go down depending on the viral load or the severity of the disease. Now what happens is this already reduced TLC or the white blood cells, which has already reduced to 2 to 5,000 per deciliter of blood, make the patient prone for further infections by lowering the immunity. So the immunity is already lowered. Plus, if you see the differential count, that is the percentage of neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, basophil and eosinophils, you will find that there is further neutropenia and lymphocytosis seen in these cases. Now what happens is neutrophils are already less. The number of neutrophils has already fallen. This opens up for further infection, super added infections. Now they can be either bacterial infection or fungal infection. Now in cases of bacterial infection, there is slightly good thing that it increases the TLC again, increases the neutrophils again, causes neutrophilia, which might provide slightest of safety for fungal infections. However, fungal infections can also occur and mostly they are the atypical ones, the ones which will usually not occur in a healthy individual. So let's quickly see how acidic media or diabetes affects fungal growth. Now they are present in the form of spores. The green ones I have made. However, I have made these inside the capillary this time, but they can be outside the capillary as well in the tissue. Now what happens is, if there are ketone bodies in the blood due to acidosis or due to diabetic ketoacidosis, there is an enzyme called ketone reductase which acts on these and provides the acidic media for these spores to develop hyphae. Now once these spores develop hyphae, they get attached to the endothelial lining or the lining of the capillaries. Now once they are attached to the vascular tissue, what they can do is they can invade the vascular tissue, their hyphae will grow, and once their hyphae will grow, they'll clog these microcapillaries or the capillaries. So what happens is, it causes ischemia in the further areas. Now the tissue will undergo ischemic necrosis because of the clogging of these capillaries. So this is how it works. Now talking about the COVID. So clinically, what kind of mucormycosis cases we can get in COVID-19? We can get the involvement of nose and paranasal sinuses or the involvement of lungs. Now in case of nose and paranasal sinuses, we will see that sinuses will be involved. These will be seen mostly in the patients who have recovered from COVID, that is post-COVID patients, and the disease will be rhinocerebral. Whereas talking about the disease of the lung, it will occur in patients who are mostly in severe acute respiratory syndrome right now. The patients might deteriorate, develop pneumonia due to involvement of fungi. So previously they were having pneumonia based on the reaction of the body to the virus or supraadded bacterial infection, but they might develop pneumonia due to fungal infection as well. So see, SARS will be there, that is severe acute respiratory syndrome, and then patient might be improving and suddenly patient might deteriorate. Then if this happens, we need to suspect for any fungal infection, which usually will be aspergillus, but rarely could be mucormycosis as well. So whenever this happens, that an improving patient suddenly deteriorates who was on steroid, we should suspect fungal infection of the lung. There's a patient of nose or paranasal sinus mucor. So what will happen is, patient will give history of being recovered from COVID-19. Patient would give history of being on steroids or being on NIV, that is non-invasive ventilation or ventilator. So when to suspect? The patient might present with facial pain, facial puffiness, facial tenderness, visual loss or any diplopia or difficulty in seeing. Now why will patient suddenly present with these symptoms? Because disease is very aggressive, and once these things are aggravated, we should suspect mucor. But what to do when a patient presents with this? What to do? What a person should do? They should consult an ENT surgeon, because ENT surgeons are the one who will diagnose the mucormycosis which is related to the nose and the paranasal sinuses. Now how will even they diagnose it? So once a patient goes to them, the best thing for diagnosing mucormycosis is microscopic examination, which can be done based on the cytological fluids in cases of lungs, and biopsy for nose and paranasal sinus diseases. Now what will they see when they examine the sample under the microscope? There will be a fungi specimen which will be non-septate, or there will be very minimal septations. It will be ribbon-like hyphae, that is approximately 10 to 20 micrometers in diameter. Now the most important and characteristic feature will be they will be invading blood vessels. Invasion of the blood vessels confirms the presence of invasive mucormycosis, that is invasive fungal disease. Now we can even send the samples for cultures to grow fungi, but the only drawback is if we send a culture, the time taken by the fungi to grow in a culture is too much, and sometimes what happens is because of the aggressive nature of the disease, the patient may even expire before we get the culture reports. So the best examination in this case remains the microscopic examination, which will show us these. Now okay, what to do if you see a suspected case? Suppose you get a suspected case, you feel that this is a suspected case, what to do? If you're suspecting the disease to involve nose and paranasal sinuses, go for CT scan of paranasal sinuses for all three cuts: sagittal, axial and coronal. Now we'll see a mass which will have we'll see there will be bony erosions in the sinuses. This mass can involve the orbit and could enter the cranium. Okay, now the important thing which are not to be neglected are, even if there is thickening of mucosa, we should consider it. Even if there is thickening of mucoperiosteal tissue, or there are bony erosions. However, bony erosions are like the main thing. Then what we should look for is, we should do a DNE, that is diagnostic nasal endoscopy, to visualize the mass, that how does it look, and then take a sample, a biopsy sample out of it, which we have to send for microscopic examination, that is called as the histopathological examination. Okay, now if we are suspecting case to involve lungs, then what to do? Then again, a CT scan of lungs, which is called as the HRCT thorax. Now what will we see? We might see pleural effusion, we might see nodules, consolidation, and ground glass appearance. Now here is the tricky thing. Even in cases of COVID, where there is no fungal involvement, we might see pleural effusion, consolidation, and ground glass appearance. So what to do if a patient is deteriorating? Okay, then we will do BAL, that is bronchoalveolar lavage. So once the lavage is done, the fluid will send for microscopic examination again, and these like this microscopic examination might reveal whether it's aspergillus or mucor. Mostly it's if the fungal infection is there, we have seen that aspergillus is most common. However, we might see mucormycosis in lungs as well. So coming to the treatment, treatment of fungal infections is very easy. We have to give antifungal agents. Now when I say easy, it's based on the choice of medicine, but not overall prognosis. So the treatment of choice is amphotericin B, which is given intravenous, or posaconazole, which can be given oral as well. Okay, now the thing is, very important is the surgical debridement of the tissue. Now a surgical debridement can be done in nose and paranasal sinuses as well as lung. But the thing is, along with this treatment, we have to make sure that we control the blood glucose level, we control the acidosis, and there is cessation of immunosuppressive drugs if at all they are there. Now the thing is, amphotericin B remains the mainstay of this treatment, but without surgical debridement, the prognosis of the patients who have severe disease is very poor. So either amphotericin B or posaconazole as antifungal agents with surgical debridement, along with measures like control of blood glucose, acidosis, and cessation of immunosuppressive drugs. Now if the disease is extensive, which it usually is, the mortality rate is very high. So the prognosis of a mucormycosis patient is not that good. So the best thing is to prevent it. And how can you prevent it? By not taking any steroids if not prescribed by the doctor. So if the doctor thinks that you do not need steroids, kindly do not take steroids without any prescription. Now if the doctor has advised steroids to you and you need to take steroids for your betterment, take steroids, but keep monitoring your blood sugar levels. So if blood sugar levels are low or kept within the normal range, the chances of developing mucormycosis are very low. Now the third thing which you can do is, in case of doubt, consult a doctor instead of trusting anything forwarded on WhatsApp or social media. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something today about the black fungus or the mucormycosis, which is in talk these days. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, The ENT Surgeons.